Hello, everybody. How's it going? Anything of new, anything of old, anything at all. What's up, guys? As per usual, back here again. And gonna do some painting. Today, I will be focusing mostly on this dude here. And in order to figure out what to do in terms of highlights and shadows. So this guy will be treated separately, and whatever I end up doing to him, I will then start batch applying to the others. Well, I do have a few ideas, and as usual, I will walk you through the process. Thoughts and musings gated. Hello, Hubert. Yeah, I know. How's it going, dude? Oh, nice. Sweet. Okie dokie. Whenever you feel comfortable, if still alive. Well, hopefully, and that goes for all of us, doesn't it? Did you order them? Or you just, like, are you waiting to get them, or have you not gotten around to place the order? Yeah, I know, but since they're not, I don't think they're open in general, so you still have to place the order online through their online store, and then you can go and pick them up at some point. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's you can look at it as a reason to go out for a walk. Yeah, it has a sign on it. Yeah, it might have changed, but up until last week, for sure, it was the case. They open up for pickup, but not for staying in. Yeah, no worries. I did the same today because I experienced a power outage right after work. Yeah, you can directly go to their site, I think. It has all the info. Yeah, I know. Thankfully, the situation doesn't allow for it anyway, so good enough, I guess. Yeah, let me check their site just to make sure, but I think that was the situation. Well, it doesn't say shit. Right. What they do say is that you have free delivery for orders over 30 bucks. Yeah, thank you. The pictures came out a bit dark for whatever reason. I used the same settings as I always do, but they are actually brighter in real life. I should amend that for future shots. No, it's the same pictures. Just because of the resolutions that are allowed on Facebook and Instagram, the color depth is also a little bit different as well as the resolution. They do end up looking a little bit different, but they're the same. I just share the same thing. I can directly share the post from Instagram to Facebook, so I don't bother doing separate posts. No, they do actively look different on both systems on both platforms for whatever reason. Which is weird because on Facebook they usually end up looking better than they do on Instagram, which should be the platform dedicated to photos and images. So you would think they would have... Oh, okay, alright. But we are going to muddy up the situation a little bit. Right, Azuki? Yeah. I'll let them know. So yeah, the only thing I found on the site is that you can get free delivery for orders over 15 euro. So if you find anything interesting there to boost your total order up to that point, you can get free shipment. You actually don't even need to go to the store if you don't want to. Oh, you prefer to speak in person. Alright. Fair enough. I did pass through next level just to pick up an extra pot of sterling mud, because I'll need it for the basing. I think I will run out at some. And yeah, their prices are insane. I mean, there's literally no point in being a retailer if you're going to have the exact same prices as the official release from the main web store. Considering they buy, considering they buy in bulk and get humongous discounts. Bit shitty. Yeah. But you can make the argument that when it was Magic Lands, they didn't have a contract, so they weren't actually listed as independent retailers, so they didn't have that discount for stocking. But now it's just like, considering you can rack up a free shipment from Games Workshop site, so if you bunch up with some friends for a larger order, you can get it, and It comes in like 3 days or 5 days tops. And Games Workshop ships very quickly. And all of the other online retails actually have massive discounts, up to 30% discounts. So it's a bit stupid, considering the fact that this has grown into an active hobby actually. Right, so today let's start off with the yellow. I've been waiting to do this for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and shade this color because yellow is a bit of a bitch to highlight. From the Black Citadel, yeah. So the yellow is a bit of a bitch to highlight because you don't really have much room in terms of brightness to go to. You are very quickly stuck to the simpler days. Yeah, I know. Things always change though. Yeah, but then they were that they were that much more special, I guess. Because right now everybody and their grandma is either printing models or casting models or designing models, and the individual piece just kind of loses its value, and this is going to become even more of a thing after 3D printing gains a little bit of additional popularity and ease of use and like financial accessibility. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's also a thing. Yeah, you can try them out, see how they look, how they feel as an army and as miniatures. Now it's kinda torn apart, which... This is the thing that's always been weird for me, and I think I've mentioned this on stream before, that it's so weird that small communities tend to fragment themselves even more than large communities just because you fall into the trap of being small and coming a little bit in the elitist ways. Very weird. And everybody having fantasy army. Go easy on blah blah. Yeah. Oriented. Yeah. So this is a Reichland Flesh Shade that I'm using for the yellow. Very warm wash with a reddish brown tint. And I found out it works real well with yellow. I was kind of excited to do that. Now I'm not gonna use it as a recess shading, so I'm going to actively try and soak up the pooling. I want to use it as a filter. Yes, but I need to darken the yellow so I have a larger range to highlight it. I will bring it back a little bit later with the highlighting stage, but I need to have a darker foundation in order to make it contrast better with the highlights. Building up this ever elusive contrast and depth of color. Oh, cool! You mean like X-Acto blades and stuff? Hope you just got the one handle and spare blades. Don't need extra handles. Yep, sure. Could have done this using a darker starting color, but since I'm using multiple colors on the model, I wanted to have a good idea of what it would look like. So I started off with the mid-tone. I'm gonna bring the mid-tone down, and then I'll bring it back up to the desired levels of highlight. So I'll have that mid-tone as reference throughout the whole process. It's a bit of a safer way to go about things when you don't really know what you're gonna do. It's easier to correct the values if they go out of hand. Point. I've also seen magenta being used as a undercoat for yellow, and it works pretty interestingly. But I don't have a dark enough magenta to try it out. So I stuck to methods that I've already tried and tested and I'm somewhat comfortable with. Okay. Oh yeah, that's cool. That's actually really cool. That's gonna come in handy in a lot of ways. Real cool. Especially the chisel looking ones when you're cleaning up metal minis is gonna be great. The ones with the sharp bit on the top that makes it like a chisel that you can dig in. It's gonna be a bit easier. So easier to injure yourself, but you know, with proper care it should be fine. Okay, now I'm gonna treat the green as well, and like I said, I wanted to have warm shadows on the yellow and cold shadows on the green. So the green I'm actually going to shade with a blue. with Drakenhof Nightshade. It's going to give me a little bit of a jade-ish tone. Alternatively, I could go for brown or purple, but honestly, I think blue would work well enough for this. Going to serve the purpose it needs to. Now we quickly rinse our brush and soak up wherever we have extra pooling. Like I said, I don't want the recess shading going amok. I just want a filter. And I'll try a few things for the highlighting. I'll try and improve things that I've attempted with the Goliaths. Most notably, the texture. All of these cloth bits, like their shirts and sleeves and whatnot. I want to give them texture so that they would register as such. And instead of using a fine brush and drawing in the textures, because I'm apparently not particularly good at that, I'll try and use a very wet dry brush, if that makes sense, with a very ruined brush, and I will let the irregularities in the bristles create the texture, which will hopefully save me some time and give a more, I'm hesitant to say realistic, but more natural looking effect that doesn't look as symmetrical. Okay, any other surfaces we might want to shade right now? Probably ruined, really. How can you use that in a Bob Ross stream? Beyond me. Oh, right. That makes sense. I think we can go over the tights, just because he wants to. Yeah, someone I think it was Mike Cousins from Epic Duck. He was asked the question, when do you think your model is completed? And he gave an interesting answer, really. He said, when the details I start to overpaint lead to more problems and more issues than they do in terms of contribution to the overall model. So essentially, when you start to struggle with the details, it's time to stop. But on that topic, I am considering a revisited series, and I've mentioned this before on stream, but it fits in well, so I'll repeat it again. Yeah, but then you get into the thought process that can I make this even better while I'm still painting it, because I'll probably not get back to it for a while. And so on and so forth. But yeah, a plan is always a good thing to have. Whether it would be ideas of things you want to try, ideas of a general color scheme, or anything along those lines. I know, but it's still not as disgusting. No need to be completely in focus while blowing my nose, yeah? So yeah, on the topic of painting over things that you've already done, I will be at some point, and I think sooner rather than later, I will do a revisited series where I'll be trying to do some touch-ups on Blood Bowl teams I've already painted, and models as a whole, not just Blood Bowl, where there are small things I can do in order to make a not significant but palpable difference as opposed to the current quality that they're at. No, not the Norse. No. The Norse will wait their turn quite a bit. I think the easiest thing to start off with would be the Khador battle group, because I've done it a really long time ago. Yeah, I know, that took too much time. I know. I do have some ideas for them as well, but not now. Might be the time to give them tattoos and all that, but not now. I would like to start off with the humans, but the humans have too much to be done on them. And it will also include conversion stuff, like actual model conversion, a little bit more than what I did. Filing off some of the things and chipping off some of the things. Yeah, so they will be a very heavy rebuild. So I will let it wait for now. But the Khador is easy, because they have 0 depth of color, and shouldn't be too hard to make them work a little bit better. The Dark Elves can also benefit some paint touch-ups. But time will tell. I need to be fake skill. Yeah, for sure. That's the idea. This is why I was considering things that have a global reach, so that people that sub here can still use the emotes for other streams. And that one's from Rick Reckless, right? The fake skill one. I've been watching quite a bit of him lately. For what I don't understand why, he's just kind of easy to watch. A bit easier than Andy in some way. Yeah, they gift a lot of subs there. I'm the same. I also have a gifted sub for him. Yeah, he's friendly and he's cheerful, which is very uh, pleasant in terms of the atmosphere. Yeah, almost supernatural, true. Especially when playing Blood Bowl, right? Because I've seen some streams where people just melt down. Yeah, yeah, that does come over a little bit hard every now and again. For the most part, it's okay, but sometimes it's just a bit much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Like I said, Rick is just an easy watch. You do see some good Blood Bowl being played, and it's a pleasant stream to look at. Marbles I don't like. He does a bit of marbles every now and again, which I don't enjoy. But gotta fill that that cycling time. Yeah, I think so. I think so. And is more prone to doing silly, fun things. Like his last Lizard build featured marbles. Yeah, it's a game where the viewers can register as marbles, and then it's an application, it's a game tied into Twitch, and you watch the marbles go down a field. Completely random. It's like a race. It's kind of stupid. But they use it every now and again. But yeah, my point being, he got a Frenzy Saurus on a Lizardman team, and that was actually kind of useful and nice. And it was just a whimsical pick for a skill, and it made the whole run a lot more entertaining to watch. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's a game, it's to be enjoyed. I'm still panicking a little when playing, but that's gonna wear out with experience, I think. I maintain some sort of regularity when playing, it should become okay. Yeah. Done with that. Just having a bit more, needing a bit more time to focus on painting today, because it's been not so much eventful, but a little bit mind-numbing at work. Right, so I'm a little bit extra unfocused. No, not at all, actually. It makes me a lot more comfortable when there is someone actually having a sober look at the field. The only problem I technically have would be that I mean, too much coaching makes me feel that I'm not playing, but if that makes sense, but it's okay, it's fine. We'll make it work. Alright, now, how do we build this motherfucker up? Go for Uriel Yellow. Question is, do I want a layer of the base coat, smooth things out, and build on top of that? Or do I want to go straight for the highlight? No worries, dude. It was fun. I enjoyed it. If you want to do it again, I'm more than up for it. Okay, let's make a mix. Let's go halves. Hey Chris, what's up? How's it going? Just working on these Bretonnians that will also count as Imperial Nobility. Let's go mix! Yeah. Started off with a mid-tone this time, and I'll do a little bit of the old, more GW-like painting approach, just because I'm not used to painting either greens or yellows, and so starting off with a mid-tone will keep me a little bit more comfortable having the actual reference to work up and down from. But we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna try and simplify texturing for the cloth pieces. I need to paint 19 dudes. Well, honestly, the way it came about was really random. I wanted to paint a project with the colors that I haven't used yet. Oh yeah, for sure. And the colors that I hadn't used for any project still were yellow and green. I couldn't decide between the two, so I just decided to split them and go for both. And then Hubert showed me that there is an actual fluff color scheme for Bretonnians that use green and yellow and a little spot of red, called actually Ireland, which is weird considering it's gonna use the Ireland sunset. So it actually clicked together very nicely. Imperial, sorry. How's things with you, Chris? What's up? Probably at work, I'm going to assume. That's nice to hear. Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit on the shit side of things, unfortunately. Oh, that's great. Definitely. I'm always a little bit envious of people who get to have that feeling at work, but in a good way. Since my work is mostly just a daily grind, where it's jumping around from one fire to another. Oh, I will check into that, because my next project is actually going to be is going to include a lot of white and an apothecary. Cool. And I have some ideas on how to make it work, but I would definitely prefer to see it done by someone with a lot more skill, and probably soak up some good ass ideas. And I'm gonna tell you, if you care, of course, what exactly that project is going to be in just a moment. It's a bit of a wild idea. And it's actually going to probably be the first project I ever do that's not game related. It's going to be painting for painting's sake. So I used to play a game called Heroes of the Storm. It's a Blizzard-made MOBA. Kind of a simpler and more casual version of Dota. And I used to play it for a while, and it had this character in. So it had her in it. This is she's called Joanna, and she is from the Diablo mythos, a member of the Templars, Crusaders of Zakarim, whatever. It doesn't really matter. However, if you take a look at her, and let's take a look at the actual model. White and black is a massive challenge. And there is a model within the Age of Sigmar range from the Stormcast Eternals. One of the easy builds. One of the easy to build kits. This one. And it has this model. Oh no, I did follow along for the salamanders, but now that I think about it, I didn't notice the white shoulder pads. Yeah, if you have the chance, if it's easy for you, please do. So I really think this model really fits closely to this character. And it's going to be a case of trying to convert it a little bit, so I'll play around with the iconography for sure. Play around with the iconography of the shield and the shoulder pads and the knee pads and whatnot, without going too over the top. And I think I have a almost identical looking flail from a War Machine model that I can place instead of this mole. And I will paint her up as Joanna, but as you can see, she's got a lot of white and black and gold. Let me see if I can get a better picture of the shield. So this is something I'm going to try and sculpt out of green stuff. I don't think it's super hard because it's mostly regular forms. These little things with the gold trim are going to be a little bit of a nightmare to do, but I can play around with that as well. And yeah, so... And I think it's a purple-ish hue that it's going for in the shadows of the white, which might make my life a little bit easier. But we'll see. I'm not holding my breath for that one. But I've wanted to do it for a long time, and I just now got the model, and I'm building up the confidence to give it a shot. Yeah, the shield is going to take a little bit of work, but on the other hand, it's going to be interesting work. Because it's a flat surface, therefore it should be easy to convert. I'm gonna play around with some sculpting, and if that fails, I can always just draw over it. Oh, here comes the shoulder pad. Just give me a moment, because I've got my brush wet. Make use of it. Oh right, yeah. Sweet. Did you brush it on, or did you airbrush it? Because I think I'm gonna go airbrush. That is smooth. Damn. That is such a smooth. Did you go for a blue shadow? Or is my eye deceiving me? I think it's blue. Blue or purple. But it is so smooth. For white, this is one hell of an achievement. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go airbrush, which also means that I have to a little bit more accustomed to it. Coal black, really? Oh yeah, and most blacks I heard have blue in their composition. So it makes sense that it gives out a little bit of a, yeah, airbrush. A little bit of a tint. You go over it. But it's so smooth, like, considering how much of a pain white is, That's amazing. But yeah, I'm gonna try and go airbrush as well, which means I'm gonna have to learn how to use that thing. That contraption. It's definitely going to be a learning project, but it's also a creative one and something I've been meaning to try out for a while. And that's probably what I'm gonna do after the Bretonnians. Although I have zero idea when they will come together, because there are 19 of these guys. Did I want to go through? And with my blistering speeds, might take a while. This is why I'm trying to simplify their scheme. Well, not the scheme, but the way I paint the scheme as much as possible. Sweet. Yeah, most definitely will. Didn't have too many meetings this week, so I could be a little bit more active in chat this time around. Usually when I'm at work, that I can catch your show. So, sorry if I'm more of a say hi and go straight into lurk mode kind of guy. Yeah, I think I did too much of a jump with the color here. I hope I'll be able to glaze the transition in a little bit better once I sketch in the highlights. Tamiya, yes, but not the ones that you mentioned. I use an off-brand of Tamiya called Mr. Hobby. I think that they are from the same manufacturer. They have a little bit of a different go. That would have been the case. However, I'm working off of a mid-tone that's been washed. So I actually don't have the actual color to mix in. Yeah, I was along when you said that. And I agree. Like, both Tamiya and Mr. Hobby have some awesome products, but they are to be used for specific things, I think. They are interesting tools, but they are very very oriented. Like, they're not an all-purpose paint. Interestingly, in their range, you can also have the same colors with different finishes. You can have them in both matte, satin, and gloss, and you can have them both water soluble and enamel, and all of them give very interesting effects. They are extremely inconsistent. Oh, you are very wrong, sir. Like, specifically for Mr. Hobby, they have a range called Mr. Metal Color. You might want to look into it if you have access to it. Mr. Metal Color are, I think they're alcohol based, not really sure, but they are liquid gold, liquid metal in a pot. They are amazing, and also they create a very weird film, a very weird coat that's a little fuzzy at the end when it dries. And you can use a handkerchief or any kind of soft material really to buff them out. This is a paint that you can actively buff. Unfortunately, they dry like crazy, like in the pots. The pots of both Tamiya and Mr. Hobby are atrocious. And the medium just evaporates, and because the pigment is so dense, it becomes unusable. But for what it's worth, while it's usable, probably the best things. They are extremely thin, so they are, like I said, alcohol-based metallics. So they can have very, very, very fine flakes. And again, that buffing thing is very, again, a very weird and very useful tool if you want to use it as such. Because it turns into a one coat and finish it. Because then you can just buff out where you want your highlights, and the fuzzy part is sort of like a washed surface for metallic. Haven't used them for years, but like I said, they dried out, and I just couldn't be bothered with having to use separate thinners and all that. They're not stinky, they're not smelly, they're alcohol based, not pure enamels. But if you haven't experienced them, I do recommend it, just because they are one of a kind. I should have a pot here somewhere. Let me see. Buried in too deep. I'm sorry. But the label is metallic, and it says Mr. Metal Color on it. I've been using, I had a period in which I used a lot, almost exclusively Mr. Hobby products, just because they were the only hobby paints that were accessible to us at the time, like locally. And they were the only water-based ones that were accessible. So if I didn't want to use the Revell enamels and poison my soul with them, the only option was either that or make, at that time, stupendously expensive orders from the GW website. All of that has changed over the years, thankfully. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not so much, but still. the hobby is developing even in this backwater country. For instance, we used to have access to P3 paints. It's no longer the case because it's a lot more accessible to become a GW retailer, independent retailer, and since most people are after GW products like Citadel models and paints in general, they went away from P3, which is a shame. I understand it as a business decision, but it's still a shame. I hope that Element Games fixes up their stock of Pro Acryls, because I think that's the only way we'll be able to get them in Europe. But I've been hearing some very bad things about Element Games service. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope they are alright in the end. But that's just something we're gonna have to wait and see. Top of the helmet is just brown. You can see the difference in the shine. And also the brass is just an undercolor. I will gold it up as we move along. I'm not going to shade it before highlighting. It's gonna be like the last thing I do. Okay, so first layer, let's try and blend this a little bit. Yeah, it's a stupid decision, makes zero logic considering the heavy rim of the hat. But I did it for the sake of just color diversity. And to emphasize that they are lower in the ranks, so to speak, so the metallic is going to be rusted up. I'm going to use a different shader for them as opposed to other silver metallics across the other models, across the other positionals. Have I mentioned that glazing with Citadel paints is very hard? I don't know if it's just me. But compared to Pro Acryl, glazing with Citadel is a massive pain. For, you mean for the top hat or in general? Just give me a second, I will check this out. Right. Let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, I see your point. I couldn't. I could make them like a single thing, single color. But it's kind of well differentiated as a detail, and I could take advantage of this and just paint it in a different color, I think. But that's very good. I'm actually becoming more hesitant to try what I wanted to try for the top highlight for this. I mean, I can always just paint it over and do it again. Not that much of a big deal. But I think this yellow is coming along pretty decent. On the top of the hill. Are you gonna sculpt that? Are you gonna sculpt that piece of cloth? Cause I got, what, 6 or 8? Wait, 4 and 4. Yeah, 8 peasants. I ain't gonna sculpt 8 pieces of flowers on them. I'm sorry. That's just gonna be insane. Cool idea, but I'm too lazy to do it. This was supposed to be the easy project. It just goes. Just hard dry brush in 2 directions. Yeah, the cloth is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go with a wetter dry brush and try and give it a little bit of texture. I'm just a bit worried as to how to apply it without obliterating everything else around it. And thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. Yeah, but the pick was with flowers. If I'm gonna do something, I might as well do it weird. I think I'll have enough of a playground for sculpting when I get to Johanna. Like more than enough of a playground. To the point where it becomes daunting. Alright, so this is what we have for the yellow so far. I'm not gonna go further with the yellow itself. Instead, I'm just gonna take sort of a creamy color. Probably good old Screaming Skull. The usual default for these cases. And I'm gonna take the most busted up dry brush I can find. And I'm actually going to bust it up even further. Because I really want split, frayed ends to create irregular patterns and notable texture on the model as I moist brush it, I guess. Let's see. Look over yesterday and I found two candidates for this. We got this guy and this guy. Which one is more destroyed? I think this one is in a worse condition. Let's turn this into a texturing brush. Yeah, let's get scissors and really mess it up. Really take it to town. Okay. I think that'll probably do. I would, however, like to try it out on the ceiling. Out on this. First, smoke right. This is a bit of a weird moment. Because if this works, it's going to save me a hell of a lot of time for a lot of the models. Because this is a technique I'll probably use on the yellow, the green, and the majority of the brown as well. But if it works, it's going to be fantastic. And if it doesn't, it's gonna seriously mess up the model. Well, the paint job, not the model. I may just have to meticulously paint in every texture fiber. It's going to make things kind of low. Question is Screaming Skull actually going to be a light enough color for this? Especially for the yellow. I'm always afraid when highlighting yellow that it, from a certain point onwards, it becomes almost invisible, like unrecognizable as a highlight, just because yellow is a bright color in and of its own, and if you don't start it, like, when you get to mixing in yellows, sort of stops popping, and just blends out into nothing. Which is why I'm keeping it at a effectively 2 highlight range. No, because you lose the yellow, you lose the highlight, you lose the depth of color. This is why I had to. No, not that it blends perfectly. It just doesn't recognize as going. Yeah, you don't see it going lighter. Is what I'm thinking. Is that what I'm talking about? Not that it blends well. Yeah, exactly. And one of my first option was to use a very dark undercoat, but I couldn't figure out what to use, and that's why I reverted to the old mid-tone wash highlight approach, which I know is kind of a bit frowned upon. Yeah, losing contrast. Yeah. That was the problem I envisioned before starting this, and right now it's somewhat at a good place, I think. It does need a little bit more, and I hope the Screaming Skull will be a nice touch to it, because it'll be a texture and highlight combo. It should do both things at once. But as usual, anything that does 2 things at once usually ends up not doing either well enough. But let's try it out anyway. Because why not? If it fails, you will have it on video record that it is not a good idea to apply. And that has value! Pretty much most of what I do here. Trying to make bad ideas work. With varying degrees of success. We move on. Alright, let's mess some paint up. And a brush. Let's wreck a brush in hopes that we'll save a model. So not taking off too much of the paint. Let's see what we get here. Almost invisible to the eye. Great. Do it here. A bit too thick. That'll work. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm liking this. Okay. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? Probably could use a little bit of a touch-up. It's a bit too heavy, but it's alright. I think I'm actually okay with this. Not perfect, but it's gonna do the job. However, we did lose. Oh, really? Well, if it's any sort of inspiration, I am always glad to contribute. I was really wondering whether or not to play around with the magenta undertone for yellow, because that's been going around quite a bit lately. But I just don't have that dark of a magenta. And if I mix it in with something, it's gonna lose the effect. So it could be a well-off looking magenta in and of its own. Went a bit too hard here. I don't even know what would be the proper way to go about it. I just saw a few examples of it, and here and there it looks pretty okay, because it gives a nice... It turns into a reddish warm tone for the shadow of the yellow, and it kind of looks very nice. Sometimes it just stands out a little bit odd. But it's always interesting. It's never boring to look at. Definitely something to be explored and checked out. Okay, so we do need a little bit of touching up here and there. Yo, Snake, what's up? Oh, that's great, man. That is a great. Let's try and patch up the rougher spots that we did. Well, that I did, really. No point in spreading the blame here. But yeah, I think that might just actually do. Just need to get a better handle on it. Like here on the back, you probably can't see. But the creases on the back actually look like they have a little bit of texture to them. Like, look a little bit worn out. And at the same time with the Screaming Skull, they get a little bit of highlight as well. Good. And I will use Screaming Skull again. Put on some more targeted highlights here and there, just some edges that I want to emphasize, where I couldn't reach with the dry brush. This is turning into a rather technical paint job rather than a artistic one. But considering I'm gonna try and whack these out as quickly as possible. Honestly, you know what? I think just going over with the brush is gonna be easier. Boo. I had a feeling it would be like that. The problem is, whenever I'm doing it with a brush, I always fall into a pattern, and the texturing starts to look too symmetrical to look. And I want to avoid the term realistic, because this is by no means in any form realistic, but sufficiently natural looking that you would register it with your eyes in mind as such. But I suppose it's gonna have to do. And another one of the reasons I want to do it like this with texturing is that some of the other models actually have hard surfaces that have the same colors, and so it'll be a bit of a challenge, let's call it, to see if I can paint the same colors, same types of highlights and shadows, but get them to register as different types of surfaces, if that makes sense. For now, let's focus on this. Alright. Okay, so final verdict on the moist brushing. Alright, but it's not worth the trouble. I think I can get fairly similar results with just paint. Oh, for sure, but it doesn't hurt to try, I mean, right? Also, in a very simplistic approach, it could be very simple to execute. Like, just highlight in nicks and bangs for the textured parts, and just do standard smooth highlighting for the hard surfaces with a little bit of an edge highlight, and I think it should register sufficiently differently. Might not necessarily be good, but it will make you understand what you're doing, I think. So it's gonna be a difficult thing that I'm gonna try and do in a very simple, quick way. I lack the understanding of making it look good, like objectively good. Differentiatable will be the operative word here. So this obliterated dry brush can where it came from. And we're moving along basic wise. So the green I washed with Drakenhof. It'd be a little bit bluish, more bluish than what it is, but I think we can make it work. And I'm not gonna go for the bright green, like I'm not gonna go radioactive green, so I'm not gonna mix in yellows in the green, because I think that it will overpower the actual yellow. I don't want that to happen. I kind of want to get the main colors of the team, which is the yellow and the green, to sort of live in the be sort of equal in terms of focal points, really. Focus for the eyes. And if I went with a radioactive or harmonize, yep, thank you. Words are difficult. Because if I went with yellows and the greens, it's just going to become way too attractive, and it's gonna overpower the yellow. So it's gonna be a more plain highlighting. By the way, that the orc skin that you were doing, god damn, that looked so nice. Did you manage the elbow at the end of the day? Because it was also very nastily hidden behind the tube. So you had very limited reach, either with... it would have been almost impossible with the airbrush, and really awkward with a brush. But that green was so good. I saw Pigeon using red and purple as a much more vibrant shadow for green. And it got me thinking, whenever I get to my orcs, that this might be the path I take for the shadows. Because it looks vibrant, and a vibrant shadow is always alluring in some way. It's still dark, it still registers as a shadow. Yeah, blues are also good. Especially if, I mean, it depends what you want to bring out in terms of temperature, right? So if you want to keep your shadows cold, you can go for blues and teals and jades. If you want to warm it up, you can use reds. In that weird way, I have no idea if I'll be able to replicate what he's doing right now. Like, absolutely not in the same quality, but just in a way that would look decent. But it's still worth a try. Not here, of course. Here I want to emphasize contrast with the exact opposite, so warm shadows for the yellow and cold shadows for the green. And let them get in together with sort of the same highlights. We'll see how it looks. Not holding my breath, but might be okay. Might not be. I gotta mute down the red as well. Gotta keep it toned down because red automatically attracts the eye. And I just want to be a very small complementary color. So I need to put it under control a little bit. So I won't be doing the same that I did with the Goliaths, where I wanted the red to be the most attractive part, which, let's face it, isn't the hardest thing in the world. Red being in and of itself a very alluring color, no matter where you place it. Alright, let's play around with the green then. And in this case, I think I can jump right into the highlighter. Because these greens are very translucent and are easier to build them up slowly. It's harder to build them up opaque. So I can be a bit more free going about it. And this particular triad of Citadel range does naturally go into a wider... Yeah, I know, I kind of like this word. Started using it recently, it's... moist to the brush. Doing your highlight when no one else can. Sweet. And it's gonna be much easier, I think. And again, if I do my highlighting perpendicular to any straight edge, sort of naturally makes it a bit rougher and creates the illusion of texture, so I'm gonna use that to my advantage here. Are we going too bright here? Might be a little too bright. It's okay, we can glaze it down later. The green is something I'm more comfortable with than the yellow, so I can do things here. It's not as hard as breath stopping. Again, the paint as well is sufficiently translucent so I can build it up over multiple layers and effectively control where I want the opacity and when not. It's a little bit harder with the yellow. These Citadel yellows are kind of strong. They made yellow cover better than green. Testament to the yellow, of course, but also a detriment to the green. That's supposed to be a pretty thick color, right? So hopefully the white scar will tie both highlights together. And as Chris put in the correct word in my mouth to make them harmonize with each other. But we'll see how this all works out. Overall, I have a good feeling about it. So. Yeah, I've heard that before. I honestly have zero idea what this is all about. I know that Twitch has been having a lot of ads for the toys. What the hell is it? Martial law comics. Not really. Martial law. Not ring a bell. Oh, okay. Did they have a Subject 13 or Base 13 or something like that? Was it theirs? It used to be a short animated movie at some point and a comic to go with it. I remember looking to find some more of it. But as you can tell, I've even forgotten how it's called, so it was a while ago. So it's something along the lines of Misfits, right? Use their powers on. Okay. So, kind of like Misfits, but in a different spin, I guess. Yeah. 'Cause I think that was the general premise of the Misfits, yeah. Is it British? The boys. Okay. I don't know why I was left with that impression. Sorry about that. I'm back to doing stuff. Thank you. I've been muting myself in a controlled fashion. Mostly because my sinuses are still cleaning up for that stupid cold. We did get the transitions a little bit on the rough side here. Whatever. Blend it in a little bit more. Or, you know, make it worse. That's always an option as well. Weird how I cough less when I'm actually ill. Who would have guessed it? Almost done with this part. We'll have another layer of highlights. And then we get to stippling. Stippling the ever-loving hell. Now to this shirt. Is that a shirt? Does it qualify as a shirt? I think it's a shirt. Let's call it a shirt. Need to touch up my medieval clothes terminology. Like, I know the red thing's supposed to be a cowl, I think. And the dick and butt flaps are technically tabards. There is some idea what's supposed to be what, but I think that's supposed to be technically a shirt. Anyone feels the need, the urge to correct me, please do so. Never hesitate to do so. It's a shirt if you believe it is. That's gonna come into play when I start with the orc team. There will be a lot of make-believe. It's gonna be much. It's gonna be a bit much, I think. And it's also going to look as if the metal ring is slid onto the hood, and it's going to look very uncomfortable, I think. I believe. What will happen then? Not much. Colors. Now I think I will stick to the predetermined scheme of things. As a matter of fact, as soon as I go through with this dude, I will try to bulk apply same stuff across all of them, so might turn into a few more boring streams where I do the same thing over and over again, but I think it's going to contribute to the efficiency of getting things done. Possibly. Hopefully. Maybe. And I'll be doing them in batches of 4, switching in between the different positionals to help myself not get burned out. At least painting different types of models should keep things a little bit fresher in my mind. Work well. I've already prepared the next batch, and while off stream I get any painting time, I'll start base coating them as well. Get things moving along. Like, primarily it will be me trying to finish up anything that I couldn't during stream. So for instance, if I don't finish up with this green, which I think I will, but just as an example, I'll finish it off stream and then move on to the next batch of base coats if I get some time. Other less important things like this. This was supposed to go a little bit faster, though, I will admit that. Not that I'm in a hurry or anything, it's just when painting models sort of in bulk, I would like to try and improve my efficiency. Time spent. Why I did this. Really experiment with the I'm gonna call it moist brushing, but it's not. But overall, I think I'll refrain from using it. Maybe if it was a larger model, because then it would become much more evident if my patterns are too symmetrical. So resorting to this stippling with the dry brush would have more bang for buck. Yeah, that is true. ever-present opportunity to have a painting monkey assistant. You know, at the very least, to shake the paints and stuff. But alas, 'tis but me. And I am my own monkey. Alright. One more level, I think. Fighting. Turbo monkey! Yep, that would help. That would be a helpful thing indeed. Warm up my dinner. Shake the paints. Do the base tones. Okay. Let's mix in next level of highlight into this one. Again, I am using the Citadel Triads as a little bit of a crutch, since this isn't going to be a one-off model. I would like to try and keep the colors as close to each other across the figures as possible. So this is where the true applicability of these triads come into place. And also I have them standing here anyway, and might as well use them. I will be making the almost full switch to Pro Acryl at some point. Definitely not gonna happen or use up all of them up. Considering the rates in which I've been a while. Where to go? Ooh. Okay, so they'll just go a little bit on the edges here and there. Usual brush is too wet. Color is too thick. All the issues. By the way, switching to and from Pro Acryls and Citadels is proving to be a bit of an issue for me, because both ranges of paints behave very differently. And adapting to them without having a firm grasp on either. Making things a little bit difficult. As it's making me forget what I used to do for one range, flying it to the other and looping back. A silly joke. Okay, I'll take a look at it in just a moment. Give me a second here. Fool myself into thinking. I'm actually highlighting. I'm not really sure I am. Okay, I am. Just very subtle. Doing all right. Okay, let's see the silly joke. Oh, Duncan. Nice. Yeah, them thin coats. Have you been watching his stuff? After he went solo. He quit the band. Oh yeah? I don't think I'm following him. I have his YouTube channel, but that's cool. I thought he was going to focus mostly on YouTube stuff. Just because he is more used to scripted stuff. Not that that's a bad thing or anything. Not at all, for that matter. It makes for a much more concise and structured way of it might be a little bit weird in real time. Still interesting though, I would definitely take a look to see how he's doing. Good old Duncan. Okay. Yes. Bring down the roughness a little bit, because even though it's texture, you still want a little bit of smoothness every now and again. Like maybe it's not necessary to see every single brush stroke. Just maybe. Going out on a whim here with that statement. Aye. Okay. Quick smoke break to lose myself and move into the stippling stage. Ah, sweet. Okay, great. If it's if it comes off like that, that is what we're going for. So that is good. But again, the interesting bit will be when I get to alternate between cloth and a hard material. An example would be this dude's shoulder plates, shoulder guards. This will be one surface where I will try to make it look like a hard object, like a hard surface, as opposed to the tabards and the shirt. Other place would be on the thrower and has front plate, which I think is supposed to be something like studded leather or something, because otherwise it would be near impossible to move in this thing. But that much of a differentiation is beyond me. Yeah, you would assume that the shoulder pads would be hard. The metallics will also be an interesting area to play around with. I will be shading them. I won't be washing the metallics. I think I'll be doing this as a last step instead of a first step. So I need to ensure that whatever's below the wash has enough to keep itself after the wash. Oh, and I did figure out how to make this, the chainmail, a little bit more interesting. As well as some other metallics. Instead of Melon Oil or Agrax, I'm gonna use Drakenhof, so the blue shade again. And as such, it will give it a more teal look. Will probably look a little bit more interesting at the end, possibly. And the peasants silver metallics I will wash with Agrax. Give it a more rusty, worn out look. Yeah, we'll have some. But again, this is the simple base wash and highlight approach, so nothing interesting really in terms of actual artistic skill. But I think it'll do fine for these guys. Especially if it helps to speed up the process. And if you can get it to look decent, then why not? Okay, let's stipple some shit. And my perception of paint consistency has gone straight to hell. But I'll adapt. Oh, come on. So that will require a little touching up. Can avoid the need of too much more of that. Oh, you might be saying to yourself, why isn't he using a smaller brush? And the answer is, I was too lazy to pick out another brush. In this case, I think that would have helped. But there is a benefit of learning to using bigger brushes. Let's call it training. Definitely not laziness, just training. Also pretty great for working on brush pressure. That's something I'm sorely missing. Which is why I'm using, one of the reasons why I'm using synthetics. To have a little bit more incentive to control the pressure I apply. Alright. Now I did go a little bit overboard on the back. Let's try and tone that down a little bit. I'm toning it down with just using the previous mixture. The off-white will still show through. It'll diminish how hard it comes through. Okay. I think this is one completed. Yellow and the green are well together. They don't fight for attention. Sort of solid. Okay. How are we doing? Have about 40 more minutes, so maybe. Can we do? Let's try and go for the tights. And then maybe start off on the red, although I kind of want to do the face before I start working on the red, otherwise I might spill over it. So yeah, let's leave that for laters. And then there are a few stubs I missed for throwers. The throwers are sculpted with balls, like both of them. And there are separate balls as well from the Kickstarter, but they are very intricate, like they're very detail heavy, and they're metal, and I think I've showed you one of them once. I sort of used it as a spare. Hello, Saima. Yep, a little bit, every now and again. Separate balls, yeah, there are quite a few. Trying to get to make the yellow and green look like cloth, so slowly but surely we're moving along. If you have any new progress pictures of your Brettonians, as usual, you are more than welcome to share them. Ah, sweet. Nice. Well, as long as there's progress. I'm notoriously slow for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which being the smoke breaks. Numbers and the metallic frame. Yeah. The metallic frame is always like any sort of trims, rims, and frames that you need to color metallic is always so much harder than it looks. Like it just takes so much time. Oh, do you have the what was it? The aluminum? I think that was the Vallejo metal that everyone recommends heartily. Because it's like a very, very powerful bright silver, I think, and it also has very decent coverage. Yeah, trims are the bane of my existence. Ever since painting the Dark Elves, the Grebo Dark Elves, it's just been a PTSD thing. Sweet, sweet, sweet. I've never tried Vallejo metals. Um, we've had a discussion earlier with Chris about the Mr. Hobby metallics, the Mr. Metal colors. But they are a bit of a weird animal in and of themselves. Apart from that, I've been struggling greatly with the Citadel metallics, which I will not get. The sooner they finish, the sooner I end up with the pots, the better. And that I can totally move on to the Pro Acryl ones, which are solid. But yeah, particularly the aluminum is something I've heard very good things for about Vallejo, and of course the scale 75 liquid gold sets, liquid metal sets. There is stuff out there, unless of course you want to go crazy and paint gaming miniatures with non-metallic metals, which I don't know, I think is going a bit too try hard. And I think that there are ways to make simplified non-metallics. Like I've seen on Norse team, one of the Jane models, Sons of, what's the name? Not Sons of Valhalla, or was it Sons of Valhalla? Shit, it's the team I own and I don't even know the name. Anyway, I've seen them done in very simple golds, non-metallic golds, and they look decent, like very good even. But I just went through metallic. I couldn't. Right, I'll just make a quick pit stop. I'll be right back. And we're back. Right, so a little bit of the base colors and dust. Mix it in with Screaming Skull. And we're off. Off we go. It's probably going to be a bit of a hard jump. Yeah. We're gonna make. Should have thinned it out more. Let's blend it in better later. For now, let's sketch the leaves. Or at least that what people who know what they're doing would say. And like I said, once I establish what I want to do with each color, sort of, not quite test the line out, peasant, or whatever you want to call them. I'll go into batch mode, like the same thing across the rest of the batch. Hopefully getting things to move along a little bit quicker. Although doubtful, it's still worth the try. Now, thin the paint down even further. And smooth out. And where we see any lines in the actual color. Then again with the same thinning, but off to get some sort of a glaze and try to blend in the lines between the highlights and the shadows. Or try to anyway. This doesn't appear to be working particularly well. What is simply the midtone, which is dust, and just put some more transitions. should not have been this hard. Okay. There we go. Oh. Neighbor's been jumping around all day. Wonder what's happening. And maybe just smooth out the edges a little bit with... I need to more. Not quite how it came. Very sloppy today. I really don't have an explanation as to why. I just want to get things done a little bit quicker, but still. A valid excuse now, is it? There is some depth of color, although limited. Probably start feathering more. I haven't really tried that technique, and it looks like something that might come in handy. Case like this. Alright, Anyway, this is pretty much what we got for now. Overall, right. Hopefully on Wednesday I'll be able to finish this guy up. And we can move into batch painting. Alright. Are we done? Yeah, pretty much. So tomorrow I will still make there'll be a little bit of Blood Bowl suffering on stream, as I'll be building the human team in CCL. How far I can push it before it falls apart. And then on Wednesday, doing a bit more painting and so on. For now though, that will be it for me. Let's do a little bit of a micro raid over to someone. Do you have any preferences? Painter or Blood Bowl stream? Or... Oh, okay. Let's go over to Kumo's turn. I don't think I follow him. Let's check. Streaming his match in Rebel Division. Okay. Kumo. Kumo's there. Alrighty. Let's go over there. As usual, guys, thank you very much for hanging out. Keep doing what you love and loving what you do. I've been Bachakolio, signing out. Goodbye, guys. A good one.